Hello, my name is Dr. Rupa Marya. I was a professor of medicine at UCSF for over 2 decades. I trained there as a medical resident and then worked in the Division of Hospital Medicine where I saw patients in the hospital. I also taught medical students and residents how to be doctors. My area of expertise was really around the intersections between society and health and working to advance health justice. My particular scholarly expertise is in colonialism and health. So, how settler colonialism, how colonial capitalism impacts the health of our bodies, the health of our society, and the health of the planet. And when my book came out in 2021 that I wrote with Raj Patel called Inflamed Deep Medicine and the Anatomy of Injustice, that's when I started to experience a lot of pushback from my institution, but nothing like what I experienced in November of 2023 when I started speaking out about the bombing of hospitals. So, Israel bombing now all of Gaza's hospitals. When that started happening, I spoke out publicly on social media very clearly about my areas of expertise. I started receiving harassment from the institution, from the Vice Chancellor, Catherine Lucy, calling me on a Saturday to ask me about my social media posts, to very specific faculty emailing me. I remember Dr. Emily Silverman of Narrative Medicine. She has a podcast, The Nocturnus. I knew her in a public fashion, but she was emailing me through work asking why I was saying what I was saying. And didn't I know I was making the world unsafe for Jewish people, which I thought was an odd thing to say when children were being buried under rubble, when our colleagues were being killed in Gaza in the hospitals. When I was speaking out about this, these groups online, Stop Anti-Semitism, and then Physicians Against Anti-Semitism, started targeting me and harassing me online. At that time, Senator Scott Wiener, a California state senator, started harassing me online. And I should just mention that throughout my time as a physician at UCSF and a professor, I was employed at about 65% FTE. The rest of my time, I worked as an author, I work as an artist, I'm a composer, I work with farmers, I do work to get land back into the hands of Indigenous people and to partner on innovating food system changes. So that's part of the broader health work that I do. I have been on social media for many years as an artist and a thinker and a public speaker. And it was very odd to me at that time to watch how people within the institution at UCSF started reaching out to me to try to curb what I was saying, from the vice chancellor to this person, Emily Silverman, then to the deans, then to the whole apparatus of the, investigations of faculty conduct and Title VI and these kinds of things. But when I started speaking out in November of 2023, and I wrote Stop Bombing Hospitals, and my tweets were getting thousands of shares, I started receiving death threats and rape threats on my social media accounts and to my work email. So at that time, I notified Catherine Lucy and Dean Talmadge King and my boss and the chief of police because I had received death threats in the past. And I said, "Can you take down my public profiles?" They gave me no response for over 7 days. And when they finally did respond, they wrote to me and told me that I was being put under investigation for my public speech. And that kind of dictates what happened over the next year as UCSF worked to put me under an investigation, which led to them eventually suspending me for asking questions of medical ethics. Should we be bringing medical students to our university directly from a zone where a genocide is actively raging, where there is mandatory military service, without any due process, without any process of safety for the rest of our community? So I was suspended for asking that online. And again, Scott Wiener was harassing me. I then learned that Scott Wiener and UCSF are both supported by the Diller family. The Diller family are Zionist billionaires who are UC's largest donors. They also send money to support settlers taking over Palestinian homes in the West Bank, as well as Islamophobic and racist organizations all over the world. The Dillers had supported the Canary Mission, which is now being used as the hit list for the Trump administration to deport and harass academics and students. And so to see this kind of connection, this nefarious web of relationships between a politician, my university administration, where I had worked and served for almost a quarter of a century, and a Zionist billionaire was interesting because it was exactly the same pattern we saw with Claudine Gay, and it's exactly the pattern that's outlined in the Heritage Foundation's Project Esther. So what ultimately led to my suspension, then UCSF trying to fabricate stories of me being unsafe with patients and trying to attack my medical license, slandering me in the press. All of these dynamics that happened ultimately led to me being fired on May 20th of this year, and fired without a hearing in the academic senate, which I was due, in which I was waiting to present the evidence of my situation. So to me, to see a university that's supposed to be committed to health silencing doctors who are speaking out against a genocide is outrageous. So what we need to do as academics is, first of all, recognize what's happening. It's not just happening because of the Trump administration. This was all happening during the Biden-Harris administration. Senator Scott Wiener is a Democrat. So people, we need to organize. We need to withhold our labor from these kinds of institutions and start putting some real pressure on. If our unions are not rising to the occasion, we need to start striking through wildcat strikes. We need to start organizing in a way that will take the power back into the hands of the people, bring our universities back into the hands of the professors so that we can teach our students what they need to learn to be prepared for a world that is now, spiraling into authoritarianism, climate collapse, and the kinds of pandemics and health disasters that we've seen in the last 5 years unfold. They're going to get more intense. So we need to prepare young people, and we do that through education, and we do not need to be muzzled. And so it is way past time everyone gets up and speaks up about Palestine. You need to ask your doctor about Gaza. You need to ask them why they haven't taken a stand. You need to encourage them to take a stand. Because if they won't take a stand for Palestinians, they're not going to take a stand for any other marginalized person. It's been quite a ride. I've sued my university. The federal lawsuit's online. Everyone can read it. It reads like a spy story. The state lawsuit got filed. It's a civil rights lawsuit. Title VI has been weaponized by highly privileged, mostly white people coming after people of color who are speaking out about the genocide in Gaza. There's no career that is worth letting those children die in the way that they're dying right now, which is through starvation and being shot in the head. If you believe in health justice, it's okay to lose your job. You don't want to work for people like this anyway. We've got to work on organizing to throw them out and recapture our universities in service of our people.